Hey everyone, Tim Streifler here with Divi Life, and in this tutorial, we're going to talk all about the Divi Child theme. So we're going to cover everything that there is to know about Divi Child themes. So we're going to cover the two different kinds of Divi Child themes, the blank, standard, sometimes called bare bones child themes that you use for customization purposes. And then we're going to talk about premium child themes that are used basically as a starting point to help you kickstart a project that you're going to do. It's essentially a finished website template that you can use to create a website. And so, we're going to cover how to create child themes, what they are, when to use them. There's actually several different methods of creating child themes. So we're going to go through each one of those on here. So rest assured, if you make it all the way through this video and the blog post, you will be very well educated on everything that there is to know about Divi Child themes. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, there'll be a link to the blog post, the one that you see on my screen here. And we're going to be going through the blog post, and I refer to it quite often, and the links and the code and everything that we're going to be using are in the blog post. So I definitely recommend having that open as well and following along with me. And then there's actually a few different bonuses that are a part of this child theme. So there's a free blank Divi child theme, and I'm going to talk about what that is and show it to you, that you can download. And then we actually have a free premium child theme as well, which that sounds like an oxymoron, free premium. But basically it's a free child theme that normally you would have to pay for, and it's the quality that normally people charge for, but you get it for free in this tutorial. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So basically, before we talk about how to create a child theme and all of that, I want to talk about what a child theme is. Now, to really get the picture of what a child theme is, let's take a step back. Now, we're talking about Divi child themes, but really the child theme is not unique to Divi. A child theme is a WordPress thing. It's been around for a while now. Any WordPress theme can have a child theme. And basically, to kind of illustrate the purpose of child themes, we're going to take a step back to before page builders. So we're going to go back in time before Divi, before what was the other one? Visual Composer, and all of those existed way back in the day. So before that, a WordPress theme was essentially PHP files, and depending on the complexity of the theme, you would have different controls that were built into the theme to let you do certain things. And so, for example, Elegant Themes, before Divi, they had a bunch of different themes, and their themes were really well designed, and you would have a home page that would have a couple different sections on it, and then in the Divi theme, or I'm sorry, not Divi, in the theme options, this was before Divi, there would be options to turn on and off a section. There would be options to change the titles and the links and all that. You would have some customization with the styling as well, so you could change the colors and the fonts and all that. But you couldn't just add anything you wanted to the page. If you wanted to add a call to action module or a form or anything like that, the only way to do that would be essentially customizing the PHP files of the theme and basically custom coding it yourself. And you're using that parent theme as a starting point and then custom coding. Now, that posed a problem, because if you go and start customizing the PHP files and the theme author decides, you know what, I'm going to fix some bugs, add a new feature here, close the security loophole, and they push that update, and you updated your theme, but you also had customizations, well, that would mean that you would lose all of those customizations, because when you update a WordPress theme, it essentially pulls down the latest copy of all the theme files. So any customizations you had in there are gone. And so and I have this graphic here of a guy smashing his computer. And if you've ever accidentally updated a theme when you had customizations in the parent theme files, then you understand how this guy feels. That's what I wanted to do. I had to learn the hard way. And so basically, WordPress came out with a concept called the child theme so that you can update the parent theme whenever there's an update, but then also be able to make customizations. And so essentially the concept allows you to have your cake and eat it too, kind of the best of both worlds, where you can make changes, customizations, put in a child theme, and it's going to preserve that for you. And so basically the way it works, and I'm going to show this to you so you understand how it works here, is the child theme. You'll indicate in the child theme file that it's a child of the parent theme. And then from there, any files that are inside that child theme that are also in the parent theme, WordPress will know to use the child theme version instead. So say, for example, the theme has a header.php file, and you copy that into your child theme, and if you indicated in that child theme that it's a child of that parent, well, then it's going to read that header.php file that's in your child theme instead of the one that's in the parent theme. So then you could, use it as a starting point and then add, customize, add code, whatever. And then when that theme updates, and it doesn't matter if the header.php file changes or not, when it updates, it's going to update all the files that are in that theme. So when the theme updates, your customizations, your custom header.php file is going to be preserved safely in the child theme. And so it doesn't matter. You can update your parent theme a million times, but those customizations are going to be safe inside that child theme. So that's kind of the concept and the way it works. And if that sounds a little bit confusing, don't worry. We're going to kind of unpack that. I'm going to show you what a child theme looks like. We're going to create one. So it's going to be a lot simpler than it sounds. But before we get into creating a child theme, one thing I wanted to get to is when you actually need to use a child theme, because there's kind of this, saying in the WordPress world that always use a child theme no matter what. And I disagree with that. I feel like that was true back in the day before page builders. So when I kind of went through the concept of editing the PHP template files and when you really didn't have a choice. But these days with Divi gives you full edge-to-edge control. You can add modules, sections. You can add a call to action module on any page you want. You can do whatever you want. You don't have to touch the PHP files in a lot of cases. And so there's not really a point to use a child theme. And so I have this little graphic here of these superheroes hitting themselves or hitting each other because that's kind of what I feel like sometimes when I say, well, you don't actually always need a child theme. Divi child themes are not always needed. And so I've had people in Facebook groups kind of say, come off like that, like, well, you're an idiot. You should always use a child theme. I want to unpack that a little bit more and explain it. So basically the way it works is if you're updating any files that are any theme files in Divi and making any changes to them, any PHP files, any JavaScript files, anything at all that you're customizing, then yes, you absolutely use a child theme. If you think you might customize it or add, custom functionality later, yeah, use a child theme. But what I want to get away from is that mentality of always use a child theme no matter what, because there's a lot of people that are new to Divi, that are new to WordPress, and they just want to hit the ground running and start customizing Divi and designing and adding pages and setting up their website or their website for their clients, and they don't want to get held back by creating a child theme when they don't need to. And so that's what I'm trying to convey is you don't always need to. If you're worried about it, go ahead and create one. But what I'm saying is you don't always need one. And I'm actually going to go through and mention some of the times that you do and don't need a child theme. And so if you're on the blog post or you're looking at my screen here, you can see I have two different sections here. When you do need a Divi child theme, when you do not need a Divi child theme, and then when you do need a Divi child theme. And so I'm going to go through some of the circumstances when you don't need to worry about it, and then some of the times when you should worry about it, and you absolutely should use a child theme. So, for example, when you're using Divi, if you're simply using Divi's built-in controls within the page builder, so you're adding sections, using Divi's pre-made layouts and using the Divi library and customizing the fonts and stuff, or you're inside the theme customizer and changing the typography from a global level, or doing anything with controls or options or toggles or anything like that, then those are safely saved in the database. So you don't have to worry about a child theme if you're doing that. Another thing that a lot of people say is, oh, well, I want to add custom CSS, so I need to add a child theme. That's not true either. Divi has a really cool area of the site called the Divi theme options with a custom CSS box. And that same custom CSS box can also be located if you go to the theme customizer. It's basically, there are two different windows to the same storage facility. And so it doesn't matter if you place it here, it's going to show up in the theme customizer and vice versa. So they're one and the same. So they have that already in place so you can use custom CSS. There's also other places you can add custom CSS. I don't want to get to that in this particular tutorial, but Essentially, just because you're using custom CSS doesn't mean that you have to use a child theme. Another thing worth noting is some people will say, well, oh, okay, well, if you have a bunch of CSS, then you need to use a child theme. That's not true either. I have websites where I'm using the custom CSS box and Divi theme options, and I have, hundreds of actually, more than thousands of lines of custom CSS, and it works fine. It's no different whether it's in the custom CSS box or in a child theme. So that's another time when you do not need a child theme. Again, if you want to use it for that reason, great, but you don't need a child theme just because you're using custom CSS with Divi. Now, the next thing is people will be like, oh, well, I need to add, Google Analytics and Facebook Pixel or other tracking codes or other small little JavaScript snippets or whatever. Again, you don't have to worry about that because Divi has in Divi theme options in the integration tab, they have a area where you can drop code into your header or the body of every page. And so it's great for things like Google Analytics or Facebook Pixel. Of course, there's also plugins that will add both of those things as well. So just because you're dropping snippets into the header file or something like that doesn't mean you need a child theme. Also, there's the code module. So if you want to add JavaScript just to a single page, open up a code module, put the script in between two script tags, and boom, it's added to just that page. So that's another thing you don't need to worry about, because all of the things that I just went through, all of the settings and the custom CSS and the controls, all of that is saved in the database. It's not being saved to the theme files at all. And so when you update that theme, it's safely saved inside the WordPress database, just like page content, post content, whatever. So that's when you do not need a child theme. So if you're like, okay, you watch this tutorial just to find out whether or not you need one, and you're like, awesome, I'm using a page builder, I'm using just the built-in controls in the Divi page builder, I don't need to use a child theme after all, then awesome, you're set. If you're still not sure, then we're going to go to the next section here. When you do need a Divi child theme. So say, for example, you're making changes to Divi's PHP theme template files. So say, for example, any file that comes in the Divi theme that ends in .php or .js or anything like that, if you're making changes or customizations to those, then you need to use a child theme. So say, for example, you want a custom 404 page, and you want to do that in PHP customizing the 404.php file, then yes, you need to use a child theme. You need to drag that and copy it from your parent theme into your child theme, and then WordPress will know to use the customized version in your child theme instead. So that is one really big reason to use a child theme if you're editing any of the PHP theme template files or the JavaScript files. Another example is if you're adding custom functions or code snippets to functions.php. Now, I mentioned for small little snippets and stuff like that, you can use the Divi theme options integration tab. But sometimes you might have, really big JavaScript files or multiple JavaScript files or JavaScript libraries for whatever reason. Okay, well then yes, in that case, definitely use a child theme. Or, you might have some PHP snippets. Say, for example, you have an e-commerce site and you come across a WooCommerce tutorial that says, oh, you can achieve, XYZ, just take this little snippet, pop it in your functions.php file. If that's the case, then yes, you absolutely need to use a child theme and put that in the functions.php file of your child theme. And we're going to get to how to do that and what that looks like in a little bit. And then another example, customizing the okay, I already talked about that, the JavaScript files. And then you're making edits and additions to any file. I just wanted to make that clear here, just kind of reiterating. If you're editing or adding additions or anything to any of the theme files, then yes, you do need to use a child theme. Or another example is you have a bunch of custom CSS or custom code or whatever, and you don't want that nosy client that's clicking through their website to come across custom CSS and then start making changes or deleting stuff, and you don't want them doing anything that's going to cause more work for you later, and you want them breaking anything, then sure, definitely use a child theme for that. So yeah, these is kind of a quick guide that you can refer to if you're not sure, that kind of goes through the different scenarios of when you don't need to worry about using a child theme, if you're just doing the stuff that's built into the theme, and then examples of when you should use a child theme and you need to use a child theme. So I hope that's clear. We're going to move on now to, I kind of talked about this a little bit, the different types of child themes, but I wanted to make it clear because it can get a little bit confusing. Is there's essentially two different types of child themes that kind of go by the same Divi child theme name. So the first one that we were just kind of talking about already is the blank Divi child theme. Now, that's basically a child theme. Some people call it a standard child theme or a bare bones child theme or a starter child theme. So there's lots of names to it. I like blank Divi child theme. And it's basically you install it just so you can make customizations and stuff like that. And so, that's what we're going to show you how to make in here. And essentially, to be a child theme, it only needs a style.css and a functions.php file. Those are really the only components that absolutely are necessary for a child theme to exist. Now, I have a screenshot here of what a child theme looks like in the folder, and I'm going to, again, show you this and show you how to create it and all that. And I made the icons super large so you can see it better. But you have the functions, the style, and then optional is adding a screenshot so it shows up in the in appearance theme settings of your WordPress admin. And so again, I'm going to show you what that looks like and show you how to do it. And then the next kind of child theme is a premium Divi child theme. Now these typically cost money, and they're basically a finished website template that you can use, that have a custom design. A lot of times they'll have a specific purpose in mind. So for example, Royal Commerce. Royal Commerce is, it was the first child theme that I created and sold. It was the first e-commerce child theme for Divi, and to this day remains the most popular e-commerce child theme. And basically, Royal Commerce is a finished e-commerce website that someone can use, install, and after the installation process, it looks just like the demo site, and they can swap out the demo content with their own content, make any other changes they want. And so premium child themes can be a huge time saver for someone that's maybe new to Divi, but then also for professionals as well. We're going to get to that. And so this is an example of what the files look like of a parent child theme. Now this is going to be different not a parent child theme, a premium child theme. This is what the file structure looks like. Now it's going to be a little bit different for every premium child theme, because there's going to be slightly different files depending on what functionality, what customizations were done in that particular premium child theme. So this is just an example of Royal Commerce there. So those are kind of the two distinctions. Now, I wanted to make it very clear that there's two different types of Divi child themes. We're covering both in this guide, in this video tutorial, but they're very different. And so it can get a little bit confusing. If you're a part of Divi Facebook groups, for example, someone will be asking a question about a Divi child theme, and they're talking about one kind of Divi child theme, and someone will answer talking about another kind of Divi child theme, and they're arguing back and forth, and neither of them are wrong. They're both right, but they're just confused at what the other one's talking about. And so you want to make sure that you understand the differences between a standard blank child theme and a premium child theme, because even though they have the same name and at the core structure, there's a lot of similarities, but they're used for different purposes. And so you want to make sure you understand that. Okay, so now that we've kind of gone through what a child theme is, what it's used for, kind of how it works, the mechanics of it, when to use a child theme, and when you don't need to use a child theme, and then the different types of child themes. Now we're going to get to the fun stuff, and we're going to actually show you how to create a child theme. Now, in case you didn't notice yet, on the guide, on the blog post, I have these quick links here on the side. So, for example, if you came to this blog post for a specific reason, you can skip ahead and you can refer back to this later. So I wanted this guide to be something that you can look at again and again and come back to. And so I made this, kind of general table of contents here that it's sticky to the top, and you can click through and it'll scroll just to that section. And so we're going to do how to create a child theme. Now, there's basically, as I mentioned before, multiple ways that you can create a child theme. Now, the first way, and by far the quickest, is to download our free blank child theme. And so what that will do, and I'm going to show it to you here, is allow you to just hit the ground running. You have a child theme, you can add your customizations, boom, you're done. You don't have to do anything else. And so if you click on the button here, put in your name and email, the system will automatically send it to you. We'll send it to you for free at your email address. You will be subscribed to my email list, but you can unsubscribe at any time. If you're already on the email list, don't worry, you're not going to be subscribed twice. This is just the mechanism that we use to send it. So you put in your name and email, and then it automatically sends it to you. And so, yeah, that is how you download it. And so I'm just going to show you what that looks like here. And hit submit. So after you do that, it's going to say thanks for subscribing, and it's going to send it to your email address and then with a link to download. And then after you download it, you're going to get the file, and it's going to look just like this here. So hopefully you can see that. I'm going to actually make these icons a little bit bigger, just in case you're watching this full screen. That's a little bit hard to see, or not full screen, I should say. Okay, so once you download it, it's going to look like that. It's going to be a zip file. You don't need to unzip it. You can if you want. And what you're going to do is you're going to come over to your website. Now I have just an installation here set up for this demo. You're going to go to Appearance and Themes, and you need Divi already installed and activated. So just want to make that clear. This is what you should be seeing. You might have some of the default themes or another theme on there, and then you're going to click on Add New. And then you're going to click on Upload. And then you're going to choose the file. Now, there it is here, blank Divi Child Theme. I'm going to hit Choose, Install Now, and then Activate. And so it says there, I don't know if you can see it, it basically already recognized that it's a child theme of the parent Divi. So you can download that, use it, you're good to go. You can add your customizations to it. You don't have to add any customizations if you don't want to. And then I'm going to show you how to make some edits. Now, the best way to make edits to your theme files is to use a FTP tool. The method that I'm going to show you right here just for this portion here is sometimes known as cowboy coding because you can break your website through this method. Now, you're going to see this warning here. It's going to tell you, and it's actually going to suggest that you make a child theme. Now, we already have one, so that's great. I'm going to click I understand. And again, I'm just showing this in case you want to make changes right here, right off the bat. If you wanted to add custom CSS directly to here, you can do that here. Click Update File. So you have that ability. If you wanted to go to the functions file and you have some snippets, then you would just add them here and click Update File. So say you have a snippet that a developer gave you or something to add to your site. Well, you can add it right here, and then it'll automatically add it. Now I'm going to talk about what all this means here when we get to the next section, which is creating the child theme manually. So you can just ignore that for now. If you want to, you can go in here and change the name. So if you wanted to call it Bob's Child Theme with Bob.com. I have no idea what Bob.com is. So if it's something inappropriate, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead and click Update File. Now you'll notice here, I didn't change this. The template is Divi. Have to keep that in order to continue being a child theme for Divi. Now I'm going to go back to Appearance Themes. Now you see the changes that I just made. Now it says Bob's Child Theme. So now you can brand it to yourself if you want. Bob. And if I click Bob, it's going to go to bob.com. Not sure what this is. Okay, it's just a blog, so that's a good thing. Hit back here. And so you can see right here it says this is a child theme of Divi. Awesome. So good, simple, very easy to do. That is how you download and install our free blank Divi Child theme and how you can make some customizations. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, that's good and great, but I want to know how it works. I want to know how to create one manually from scratch. Well, lucky for you, that is our next section, how to create a Divi Child theme manually. So if you want to roll up your sleeves and put on your WordPress web developer hat and actually create it from scratch, then that's what we're going to show you how to do. And if you're someone that kind of sees this as a career building websites with WordPress and Divi, then it definitely is a good idea to learn not just how to create a child theme manually, but understand how it works and what the mechanics are and why it works the way it does, because that's going to give you kind of a more thorough, better understanding of WordPress as a whole and how the structure works and all of that. So that's definitely what I recommend. So the first thing that you're going to do, or actually, let me take a step back. I kind of mentioned it already, but a child theme essentially is a folder with a functions.php file, a style.css file, and then optional is a screenshot. And then any additional customizations to the parent theme will be copied into that. And so that's all it is. And so the first step to create one manually is you want to create a folder. So I'm going to go over here, and I just already have this set up for new. And you want to create a folder and call it Divi Child Theme, right? And then from there, you're going to want to create, the second step is to add your style.css file. So it has to be called style.css exactly. You can't make it, Bob's style.css or anything like that, because WordPress won't read it correctly. It has to be style.css exactly. Now, if you're on a Mac, and I'm not sure about Windows, it's been a long time since I've used a Windows machine, but I can't just create a file and then give it a name. I can't really do that. I can go into I'm using Coda, which is both an FTP client as well as a code editor. And so if you have a code editor, whatever you're using, I have some examples on the blog post of some free ones you can use. Then you can create a file that way. So I can go over here, go into my Divi Child Theme folder, the one I just created, and I can go new file. Now I can call it whatever I want. I'm going to call it style.css. So you can do that. But if you do not have a code editing tool, it might be difficult to create a file from scratch. So what I've done here is I've given you a sample style.css file, so you have something that you can go and customize as a starting point. So you can just click that. It's going to download right away. And then now you have that as an option here. And so basically, once you download that, it's going to be in a zip, so you just want to unzip it, and then you would drag it into the child theme folder that you just created. Now I just created a blank one here. There's nothing in it, and so it's not going to let me copy the one already. But actually, I'm gonna try to do that here. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Move to trash. I'm gonna move this here. Whoops. And then copied it into the Divi Child Theme folder. And so now I have my style.css file. And so if you're using a code editor like Coda, you can open it up. And this is the sample that I just let you download there. And this is actually the exact same style.css file that comes in the free blank child theme. So if you already downloaded that, you don't need to download just style.css by itself. You can if you want. But I'm going to pretend that we're using the blank one here. And so I'm going to go back to the blog post, and I'm going to copy this, because this is what needs to go in the style.css and in the exact format. So basically, WordPress uses this to sync up with what you see here, and it pulls the information. And so that's why it has to be in that exact format. And so the theme name can be anything you want. It could be, as I showed you before, I'm going to call it, let's call it, just name it after myself, Tim's Child Theme. I'm going to leave divilife.com as the theme website, and the description, child theme for Divi. I'm going to make it by Tim Streifler, author Tim Streifler. I'm going to leave the author URL the same as well. So really, you can customize any of this as long as the format and the headings stay the same. So that what's on that left column there, as long as that stays intact, you can change anything there except for this, where it says template Divi. That has to stay exactly like that, because what it's doing is it's saying, hey, this child theme is a child of the Divi parent theme. And so if you change that, then the child theme won't work. It's not going to function. But I'm going to go ahead and leave that just like that. And let's go back to the blog post here, and you'll see that the next step is to create the functions.php file. And now, just like before, if you're using a code editing tool, then you can go to new file and call it, whoops, not fun. This may be fun, but it needs to be functions.php. And then once you do that, then you can add it. But before, just like with the style.css, it may be difficult to create a file from scratch if you don't have a code editing tool to do that. And so you can download the sample functions.php file here. It's the same one that comes in our free blank child theme here, but just allows you to download it separately just in case you want to do that. Okay, and then once you do that, now this is the blank one that I just created. If you downloaded one, then it's going to already have this stuff in it for you to customize, and it's going to look like that. Oh, and by the way, if you don't have a code editing tool, you can download the samples that I have, and then you can edit it with whatever built-in text editor that comes on your computer. So say, for example, you're on a Mac, you can open it with TextEdit. And so it's going to look like this inside the TextEdit, which comes on every Mac. There's another text file that comes on every Windows machine, and so you'll have a way to do that. And so that's why I gave you a sample to download, so then you have something to start with, because at least on Mac, I don't know about PC, it's difficult to create a file from scratch, called functions.php file, for example. Yeah, you can go and create any file you want using an application. So you can go into Microsoft Word and click Add New, but it's going to be a Word document. So that's why I did that. I hope that's a nice convenience for you. And then you can make the edits like so. I'm using Coda, which is a proper code editing tool, so it has all the syntax highlighting and all that, which is helpful and makes it easier to see. And so, after you create that functions file, so if you created it from scratch and you're editing it, whether with a code editing tool or a text editor or whatever, you're going to want to copy this code from here. Or if you're using the sample one, downloaded it from us, then it's already going to have that in there. Now, you don't want to customize any of this. You want to leave this just like it is. Basically, what that's doing is it's going to bring in Divi styles. And so it's saying that, okay, we already know the style.css is already telling us that this is a child theme of Divi, but what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that Divi style sheet, the style.css from Divi, will load, and then we're going to load ours after it. So we're going to put all of our customizations below this line, we're going to load the child theme style.css after this one here. And then below this line here are any custom functions, whether that's snippets, custom PHP, whatever it may be, you put below that line there. So that's how that works there. And so now your custom Divi child theme file should look like this, and then you can optionally add a screenshot. I think I have the proper dimensions here. Yep, 880 by 660. That is the recommended dimensions for the screenshot, and it can be either a JPEG or PNG, and then you just have to make sure it's called screenshot.jpg or screenshot.png, and then WordPress will automatically know that that's the screenshot there and load it as the image. And so once you have these files here, actually I'm going to go back to my Finder window here. So once you have the folder, now this is basically the same thing, what you're seeing in this window and then what you're seeing over here. It's just, this is inside the code editor, just in case that wasn't clear. So now we have this folder here. Now I'm going to right click and go to compressed. And now it's a .zip folder, and I can come back over to WordPress, and then I can add it as a theme here. Now I think because I named it something different, it should work. Actually, you know what? I have the folder as the exact same, even though it's a different name. This one's called Bob's Child Theme. The other one's called Tim's Child Theme. The folder is divi-child- theme, and so it's not going to let me load that. I'm going to throw that away in the trash here. I'm just going to call this Divi Child Theme 2, so it'll let me load both of those on the same website, which you probably won't need to do, but I just wanted to do it for the sake of this tutorial. So I'm going to click Add New, just like before when we're loading the blank child theme. I'm going to go Upload Child Theme, choose File. I'm going to go to New. This is the one that I just created. I'm going to hit Choose, Install Now. Now I think it should still work. All right, and see, it already recognized that Divi 3.12.2 is the parent theme. I'm going to click Activate. And then there it is. Now, I didn't add a screenshot file, so that's why this is just blank. Now, you can add whatever you want. Call it screenshot.jpg. Make sure it's the proper image dimensions that I have on here, 880 by 660, and then it's going to look more like this here, which is a lot better than not having anything. So if you're building a website for a client, you could add their logo, you could add your logo, whatever you want to do, add some additional branding. And again, you don't have to, it's just optional. But if you want something to show up there instead of this just blank space, then you want to add that screenshot file. Okay, so that is how you create it here from scratch. It's pretty simple. Now that's just kind of creating the basics, the foundation. Now, as we talked about earlier, what a lot of people use child themes for is in order to make customizations from their parent theme, copy them into the child theme folder. And so I'm going to show you what that looks like here. Now I'm going to go back to my code editing tool, which is also FTP client. Now this is the sample site that I have set up. Now I'm going to go to WP Contents. Oops, whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to go to Themes. Now those are the child themes that I created. There's Divi. Now I'm going to take Divi here. And let's say, for example, that I wanted to customize the 404 page template, right? And so what I can do, I can right-click, and I believe I can go to, okay, it's not going to let me copy the entire file from here, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download it. I'm going to put it just temporarily. I'm going to put it over here just because I have to download it, and then I'm going to have to upload it over into my child theme. So I have this is the one I have active, Divi Child Theme 2. And so I'm going to go ahead and copy it into my child theme folder. So now it's exactly the same as the one from the parent. I haven't touched it yet. I haven't made any customization, so you're not going to notice any difference. But once I do make changes, it's going to read this version instead of the version that's in the parent theme inside Divi. And so that's kind of the mechanics of how a child theme works. And so one thing you need to make sure you're doing, though, is, so I'm in the main Divi folder here, and I downloaded the 404 file, and then I uploaded it into my child theme, and I put it in that same level of folder, right? But say, for example, that I wanted to customize a file that's in here, includes, and say the social icons, which I actually do that. I customize this for my parent theme. Well, you're going to want to make sure you get that file path correct. So I'm going to go ahead and copy or download this. And then, so it was just includes, a folder called includes, and then it was right there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my child theme folder. Now I'm going to go new folder, and I'm going to call it includes. And then I'm going to drop that social icons file into my includes folder. So the file path has to be the same. Otherwise, WordPress isn't going to know what you're referring to when you copied it into your child theme. And so I'm going to come back here to the website. And whoops. This is a password protected site that I'm using just for demonstration purposes. Okay. So give me a second here to grab that password. Okay. All right, so this is the front end of the site that we were just playing around with. And so you'll notice here, this is something that drives me nuts, is actually, I need to add a, I'm gonna go to Divi theme options. I'm gonna show you an example of customizing the social icons folder. And I'm gonna, for Facebook, I'm gonna make this, I'm just gonna send it to the Facebook homepage there, hit save. Refresh this page here, and you'll notice, so now this is going to Facebook. When I click it, it just goes directly to Facebook, which is kind of annoying. I wish there was a built-in option to make it open up in a new tab, because when you have someone on your website, you don't want them clicking on Facebook and then going to Facebook and then getting distracted by their news feed. You want to open up a new tab so that your website will stay there in place, so that if they do get distracted, they'll come back to it and they'll remember what they were doing when they accidentally left your site to go to Facebook. So what I like to do is customize that. And so to do that, now this is just isn't the focus of the tutorial, but I wanted to show you an example of how the child theme works. So I'm going to open up. Now this is my child theme, the social icons, the one I just copied in there. And now I'm going to add just some basic HTML, make it target equals underscore blank. Now, if you know any HTML, you know that when you add target equals underscore blank, that now the link will open up in a new tab. And that's what it means here. Now, normally you would add it to all your social icons there. Just for the sake of time here, for this tutorial, I'm just adding it to Facebook because that's the only one I've added anything to. So I'm going to come back over here to my website. And now you'll notice here at the bottom left of my screen, I can't move my mouse to show you because otherwise it'll go away. But now it says facebook.com in a new tab. And when I click it, it opens up Facebook in a new tab rather than on my website. Now that's just something that I do. And so in order to do that, in order to customize this file here, I have to put it in my child theme folder, because if I go and I customize the main Divi folder here, or the social icons folder from the main Divi folder, it's going to work. It's going to work great until I update Divi. And if you've been using Divi for a while, you know that Divi updates quite often, typically once a week, if not more. And so you'll lose that customization. You'll have to go and redo it every single time, or you'll forget what you did and then remember, 2 months later that customization is gone because you updated your theme. Now, this is a simple little customization that's not a big deal, but it's still annoying. You still don't want to do it that often. And then even if you are doing something more advanced, you especially don't want to lose that customization. And so that's why when you put it in your child theme folder, then WordPress will preserve that customization. It'll know to read the version that you have in your child theme instead of the main version that's in Divi. So it just is a much better system there. So that's an example of what that looks like. Same thing with like the 404 page, for example. If you wanted, not sure of a simple customization that I could do here. But yeah, if you added some custom code here, since it's copied into your child theme folder, then it's automatically going to start reading this version instead, and whatever customizations are going to be preserved. So that's why you use a child theme. That's kind of how it works. Those are some simple examples of customizations that you might need a child theme for, but that's kind of the mechanics of child themes in WordPress. So that's how you create it manually. So I've shown you how to create it using our blank child theme. And so you can download that, use it. You already have it intact. You don't have to create anything from scratch, customize it, whatever. You can create it from scratch if you want. Now there's 2 more methods I'm going to show you. So our friends over at Divi Space have a child theme generator, and it'll create the child theme for you. Now there's a few different child theme generators in the Divi community. This one was the original, the first one, so that's the one that I'm referring to. Also, I'm good friends with the team over at Divi Space, and so I'm going to support them there. So it's pretty simple. I'm going to go ahead and just fill it out quickly here. I'm going to call this one Tim's awesome generated child theme. Make sure I can spell correctly. And make the description whatever you want. This is my awesome description. I'm just going to leave it 1.0, the theme website. So this is the website that I want to link to from within the theme folder. So say, for example, right here, by Bob, or that's the author there. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to make it my personal website, author Tim Streifler. Actually, I'm going to make the theme website DiviLife.com, make the author website my personal website. I can upload a screen, a theme screenshot. So I already, actually, I'm just not going to do it for this example. But if you have a file here, they have some dimensions that are, slightly different than the ones that I recommend. The ones I recommend is the same dimensions that Divi uses. And so it's a little bit smaller file size, but same ratio. So the parent theme, you could select, you could select either Divi or Extra. So if you're using the Extra theme, they'll set that up for you there. The license, this is kind of extra stuff that's not really mandatory. If you wanted to start it with some custom CSS, you could add that there. I'm not going to for this example. Same thing. You could add some custom JavaScript. They'll put it in there for you. And then you got to put in your email address so that they'll know where to send it. And then you hit generate. It reloads a page. Success. Please check your email. And they're going to send you that child theme for you to download. And so this is a really popular way to create a child theme. I believe you will be subscribed to their email list, but just like with my free blank child theme, you can unsubscribe at any time. And so, however, if you're in the Divi community using Divi products, I recommend you be on Divi Space email list as well as Divi Life if you want to stay up to date on products and tutorials and all that. So that's the generator, which I highly recommend. Basically, once you downloaded it, you upload it the same way that I already showed you how to upload. So you don't, I'm not going to really do that again for the generator because the file is going to be the same. It's going to be a .zip file that you upload here into the theme section. So very straightforward. Now, coming back to the tutorial, by the way, the generator has some cool additions, a login editor, which allows you to edit the login screen of your website. So this is an example of one that I made while writing this tutorial. I added my Divi Life logo. I changed the background to kind of my branding for Divi Life currently, and changed the button color to one of my colors. And so that's built into the child themes that you create from the Divi Space child theme generator. So pretty cool additions there. Now, the fourth and final method that you can use to create a child theme is by using a plugin. Now, there are multiple plugins that you can use in the repository for creating a child theme. I think this one here is the most popular one. This one has 200,000 active installations, 173 5-star reviews. So this is not specific to Divi by any means. You can use that for any theme, and it will work with Divi. Same thing with the other one here. And then the third one that we have on here that we actually do more of a walkthrough is a plugin called Divi Children, and it's actually made for Divi. And just like the child theme generator, it adds some additional tools, which are pretty cool. And so I'm going to show you how to do that here, but it adds some customization to the theme customizer and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through that here. So what you do is from the Divi Children website, you just scroll down here, click on Download Now. And then it's going to work a little bit differently. You're not going to install it as a theme because it's a plugin. You're going to go to Plugins, Add New. And then you're going to upload the plugin. And so I already have that set up here. Divi Children, the latest version. Hit Choose. Click Install Now. And then, just like any other plugin, activate the plugin. And so now it is installed on your website. And you can come over to, I forget where you put it. Oh, yeah, it's under Appearance. And click on Divi Children. And then, similar to the Divi Space generator, this is a generator that's kind of built into the plugin. And so it'll automatically pull whatever the name is of your website. So this was a blank website. So Tim Strifler blog is the name of it. So I'm going to call it Tim Strifler Child Theme. And it automatically adds your website. I'm going to put divilife.com. It pulls the description of your website as well. It pulls your username. So you can, again, customize that if you want. You can go over and change the screenshot if you want. I'm not going to do that. You can make updates. So this is updates to the plugin. So that's all that is. And then you click the Create Divi Child Theme button. And then it's telling you, hey, you can go over and activate it. So it used their logo as my screenshot since I didn't upload a custom screenshot. And so I'm going to go over to the Themes Manager. And so I still have currently active one of the ones that we created in the earlier part of the tutorial. But I'm going to go over here and I'm going to activate this one from Divi Children. And so now that is active. So coming back to the blog post here, it adds some additional customization options to the theme customizer, which is pretty cool. So in order to do that, click customize. You can also get to it from appearance, customize, or if you're looking at the front end of your website, you can get to it from right here, theme customizer. And so, yeah, it's going to add some different options. I'm not going to go through them for the sake of this tutorial, but you can play around with those as well. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So those are the different methods of creating a child theme. And so you can create or download our blank child theme, customize it. That's the quickest and easiest. You can create it manually from scratch with code. You can use the generator from Divi Space, or you can use the plugin either from Divi Children or one of the main generic WordPress ones. So lots of options with creating a child theme. So the important thing to take away here is use a child theme if you need to, and use the method that is most comfortable for you. And so I would probably recommend going through and creating it from scratch once, just so you can kind of learn the process, or download our blank one and customize it yourself, either from directly within the editor within WordPress, or preferably with an FTP client with a code editing tool. So that's how that works. Now, there's still some part to this tutorial as well. As I mentioned earlier, there's two different kinds of child themes. There's the blank kind of standard bare bones child theme that you use to preserve your customizations, as we've talked about. And then there's Premium Divi Child Themes. There's an entire third-party market of companies, including my own, Divi Life, where we sell Divi Child Themes right here on my website. And we actually are giving away a free one called Divi Business, which is pretty cool. You can click on that, or click on the link here, and you can read about some of the features and everything. You can get it from here. You can also download it directly from this page here. Just click the button, download the Divi Business Child Theme for free. Just like the blank one, just put in your name and email address and we will send it to you. Again, you will be subscribed to our email list, but you can unsubscribe at any time. But hopefully you won't want to, because we send lots of awesome stuff. We'll have subscriber-only deals and freebies, stuff like that, as well as you're the first to know about any new products and stuff like that. So that's the Divi Business Child Theme. Now, before we get into some of the other awesome places that you can get premium Divi Child Themes, I want to talk a little bit about who child themes are for. Now, some people think that, oh, premium child themes are for people that don't know how to design a website, and so they'll use a child theme template, and they'll just customize it, change some text a little bit, and then boom, they're done. And well, some people do, and it is a great way for people that don't want to take the time to learn Divi and learn design and all of that. But child themes are also used all the time by professionals. I have the knowledge, skills, and experience to create websites from scratch, whether that's using Divi or HTML or whatever. But I love using child themes from other theme developers out there because it's such a big time saver. I could create something from scratch and have to come up with an entire design concept, and it doesn't work, so I have to start over. Or I can choose something that I like that fits the vision that I have in my head, and then use that as a starting point. I still have all the power of Divi, so I can make changes to what's already there. I can add additional sections and modules that kind of, and match the styling of the child theme and whatever I want. So those are some examples of that. Now, here's an example of a company that used my Royal Commerce child theme for one of their clients. And you can see, if you compare it to Royal Commerce, you can see the similarities that, you can see that it started as Royal Commerce, but it still looks pretty different. And so they customized it, made it fit the client's branding and the look and feel that the clients wanted. And so lots of professionals use child themes. So don't think that it's only for beginners or anything like that. Okay, so the last section of this tutorial is talking about where you can get premium child themes. Now, there's a lot out there, and so we put together what we think is a list of some of the best places that you can get premium Divi child themes. Now, we were strict with putting this list because there are so many options. We wanted to make sure that we're only recommending reputable companies that support their products well. And so I want to be clear about that. And so I put here exactly what a company had to do to make this list. And so I want to make sure that they're in business at least a year and a half. Most of these have been in business 2+ years, and that's great. And the reason for that is if you buy a child theme, you want to make sure that the company is going to stick around and support it. And so if a new version of Divi comes out and it breaks everything in the child theme, you want to make sure that they're going to fix that, and so that you can still update Divi and your child theme will still work. And so, most child themes don't need a lot of updating. For example, Royal Commerce, it's been out for a couple years now, and I've only made very few minor changes to it. We are going to ramp up and make Royal Commerce 2.0 with a lot more layouts and features and all of that. But I have only had to do a couple minimal things that weren't really mandatory. Nothing's broken. And so if a child theme is built correctly, then it's not going to need a lot of updating. And so that's another reason too. You want to make sure you're getting it from a company that builds their child themes correctly and they know what they're doing. And so everyone on this list, I can say confidently, builds their child themes correctly. So that's another thing. And then I wanted to make sure that I'm not, recommending a one-hit wonder, because again, a one-hit wonder is not going to stick around. So I want to make sure that they have at least 2 child themes and that they're likely to create more. It wasn't just something that they did 2 years ago and they're not creating any anymore, because again, they're not going to be sticking around to support them. And then also on that note, they've released them within the last 6 months. And so I'm not saying that everyone on this list has to create one child theme every week, month, or whatever, but at least within the last 6 months, they release a new child theme and are expected to create more. And then also they have a reputation in the community for not just creating great products, but also providing excellent customer support. So these are some strict guidelines here. And so that's why not every company that makes child themes is going to be on this list. So maybe a little bit biased here, but Divi Life is first here. This is my website and my blog post, my tutorial. So I have my website on here first. So not only Royal Commerce, one of the most popular, or is the most popular e-commerce child theme for Divi, it's also one of the most popular child themes of all time because it brought a lot of e-commerce functionality to Divi that used to require, a dozen plugins and integrating them and styling them and all of that. And then also the Divi Business child theme, and then little hint, hasn't been publicized yet, but we are going to be releasing a whole new suite of child themes within the next couple of months. And so stay tuned. We've spent a lot of time over the last year creating new Divi plugins such as Divi overlays and Divi bars. However, coming soon, we're going to have a whole bunch more of Divi child themes to add to our product portfolio. So stay tuned for that. The next one on the list is Divi Space. And you may have noticed that we use Divi Space in the generator for the child theme generator. So Divi Space also has a lot of really cool plugins, really cool child themes that have cool plugins too. And so they've been around for several years now, one of the first companies to create child themes. And not only that, but they're continuously upping their game, adding new child themes, adding lots of really cool features. So their latest child theme, Divi Nonprofit, has a bunch of custom icons that they add to it. And so lots of really cool features there. So highly recommend Divi Space. Next one on the list is B3 Multimedia. And B3 Multimedia has some of the cleanest, most well-designed child themes in the community. They're very crisp. They actually partnered with another company here, and so not all of these are by the original B3 Multimedia, but they've. I'm pretty sure I think it's Divi Lover and B3 Multimedia merged, and so they're now one company, and so their product portfolio doubled as well because of that. But yeah, they have some really great looking child themes. Highly recommend. They're very popular in the Divi community. I think Marvel is the most recent one. I think Divi Estate, which is a real estate child theme, is probably the most popular. But all of them are very high quality. I've actually used Polygon on a client website, so I bought that child theme. Worked great. I can highly recommend it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Next one is Be Superfly. Now, Be Superfly used to be called Elegant Child Themes, and they've been around for a while, and you really can't talk about Divi Child Themes or Premium Divi Child Themes without mentioning them. They have not just some awesome child themes, but they've been around for a while, so they know the community really well. They're very established. They create their child themes very well coded, and so yeah, can't recommend them enough. Just like B3 Multimedia, I've used some child themes from Be Superfly for my own projects as well. Next one on the list is Divi Soup. Now, Divi Soup is the brand from Michelle Noonan. Michelle Noonan is very popular in the Divi community, has lots of followers that are part of her community, Divi Soup. And yeah, she has some great looking child themes. Now, she kind of caters towards different niches. So she has a child theme for Lifter LMS, which is an online course platform. She has a child theme for podcasting, for PowerPress. And so a lot of her child themes are kind of catered towards a specific niche, which is pretty cool. So like coaches, life coaches, different things like that. I think this one is like a wedding child theme, it looks like, or a wedding event planner. So yeah, Divi Soup is awesome. Michelle Noonan is great. And last but definitely not least is A Girl and Her Mac, also known as Leslie Bernal. Leslie is a good friend and an incredible designer, very, very unique. Everything she creates is something that you've never seen before. And so she is a designer, if I've ever seen one. And so the link here goes directly to her child theme page. And so she once she kind of gets sick of her own child themes, she retires them. And so that's why it's important to buy them while you can, before she retires them, because basically she has high standards for herself. And so when she realizes that, you know what, my design game has been, I've gotten up to another level. Now I don't want those other child themes being associated with me anymore. I don't actually know if that's the real reason, but she retires them. And so, yeah, you definitely want to get them while you can. So right now she has 2, Addison and Mason, but she's been creating child themes since the beginning as well. So definitely knows what she's doing there. Now, if there's any that you feel should be on the list that I've left out that meet our criteria, our strict criteria here, let me know down in the comments. I will be happy to add them if they meet all of these bullet points here. Another thing you might have realized is I didn't mention any of the marketplaces. There's a few different marketplaces that sell Divi products. So I've listed them here, but the reason why they're not included in the main list is because they don't meet that criteria, because they're not the ones actually creating and supporting the child themes. They're third-party vendors, and so there's no way for me to, not all of the vendors will meet this standard, and so that's why I can't include them on the original list. But I've mentioned them here, listed them in order that they were, or alphabetical ordered. So Divi Cake, Elegant Marketplace, and Monterey Premier. And so there's some really great products there, and then there's some that maybe I can't recommend so much. So that's why they're not on the original list. And then last but not least, if you want a single place to view every single Divi child theme in existence, so you don't have to jump around to different sites, check out Divi theme examples. Craig operates that site. He does a really good job of organizing it and curating it into categories. And so you can see Divi Business right here. And then he also has a list of the most popular child themes. So if you go to Best Divi Child Themes, you go to the Divi Theme Showcase and then click on the category Best Divi Child Themes here. These are the ones that he's curated to be the best. And it's worth noting that Divi Business is there at the top of the list. And you can kind of see some different ratings, what people have rated them, which is pretty cool. So definitely a great resource to be able to look at all the different child themes in existence. So yeah, one thing worth noting though is all of the child themes on his website are all of the ones in existence. And so they might not meet the quality standards that I've kind of outlined. So that's why I have these here as kind of the top of the list. I guess you can call them premium child theme creators. So yeah, or yeah, high quality premium Divi Child themes. So yeah, I hope this tutorial was helpful. I hope you learned something. Come back to this page as many times as you need. Share it. We love it when people share our post if you found it helpful. We wanted this to be as easy as possible. That's why we added the quick links guides and kind of scroll through here, get to exactly what you want. So if you want to remember, okay, when do I need to use the Divi Child theme, you can just skip ahead and not have to read through the whole thing. So we added those quick links for convenience. So yeah, let me know in the comments if this is helpful. Let me know if I left anything out or if you have any questions. And I will see you on the next tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.